Oh man, 2006.
All right, this is where
We're getting deep, son.
we're talking Wii launch year now.
Yeah.
We're talking about that Wii, that WII, that Wii.
We come. That's what I say to you every week when we're on our way. I say WII space CUM.
Yep.
To let you know I'm on my way.
I have a receipt of that if anyone's questioning. But anyway,
Bully!
this is a good game.
It is.
Skippable. No, I was kidding.
This is another one of those games that's on every stinking platform. Every platform available.
PS2?
I'm willing to put it in must play.
Let's talk about it. But I agree. Let's talk about it.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead and put it there.
So
let's talk about Grand Theft Auto Jr.
Okay, yeah.
Grand Theft Auto Kids Edition. So like this is basically it's.
Hold on. Teens Edition. All right.
Teens Edition.
Yeah.
Teens
we don't want to get in trouble.
Pre-teens Edition. So it's Grand Theft Auto, except you're a kid. You're in a boarding school essentially, a private school. One of the worst schools ever.
Bullsworth, dog.
You're trading in your guns for slingshots. Mm-hmm. You're trading in your
bazookas for firecrackers.
Yeah, it's a lot of hand-to-hand combat. This is the game. I remember playing Bully and then playing Grand Theft Auto 4 a couple years later and being like, I can see where they took some of the animation concepts for Bully and put it in the GTA 4.
Yeah, this was the last Rockstar game for this generation of consoles.
Yeah, they basically took the combat of the Warriors, which is one of my favorite beat-em-ups of all time, and they kind of built it around that. A lot of things that you see, even in Red Dead Redemption 2 of last year, were kind of experimented on in this game as well, like the social interaction.
Exactly. That's
being able to talk your way out of fights or antagonize people and stuff.
That's what I was just about to say. Like the long-lasting impression of Bully is, I think, that more than anything else is that ability to, in the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time way. So Ocarina of Time was one of the first games ever to do context buttons, like buttons that change. They change their functionality depending on where you are in the world. Bully took that to such a degree to where, as you were interacting with people, you got all these different. You're literally a thing pops up on the interface that has different buttons saying you can antagonize or bully or whatever, or you can say hello.
The further you get in English class.
In English, that's right.
So you go to English class and then you, which had a mini game like a word scramble.
You talk to the prefects and talk your way out of it.
There's different classes that all unlock different things. Like gym class gives you more fighting moves. Chemistry class gives you the ability to make more weapons,
bombs and stuff,
firecrackers, stink bombs, and then English would let you earn your way to talk your way out of a fight or scare people.
Right.
Or you might get I forget, was it photography where like I think if you got further in photography, whenever you kiss people, you get more health or whatever. I don't know.
Something like that.
Strange.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, that's a really good thing to bring up. That all the different classes had different mini games within the classes themselves.
And there was extra classes in the Scholarship Edition.
Yeah, exactly. And
which is the way to play this game. If you're gonna play the Scholarship Edition.
And that's the easiest way to get it anyway. So like if you look it up on a modern console, it's going to be the Scholarship Edition.
PS4. The PS4 version is the PS2 version.
Is it really?
It is.
Oh, that's real weird.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Oh well, if that's all you have, still play it.
Play this on Steam or wherever you can find it.
So something that we're running into as we continue the series is that must play usually is categorized by games that hold up really well and are very good, but are also easily accessible. It feels like we're punishing games that aren't very accessible, but I think that's kind of right. You know, because every video gamer isn't going to be able to play something like a game that
we might get to PT on this list at some point. What are we supposed to do about that?
Exactly, yeah. So must play is a combination of how it holds up, how good the game is, and its accessibility. It's not necessarily an indication of its quality, because there are games, you and I would agree, like us saying that's one of my favorite games of all time, but it's not must play because it's not as accessible as a Zelda. So
which we've done several times.
We have done several times. But all that said, Bully is completely deserving of the must play category.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Dead Rising. This is going to be a tough one.
I agree with you.
This is a tough one because this is the game. I always say this. Whenever the 360 first came out, this is one of the first 360 games. This was the 360 game that came out where I was like, I got to get a 360.
Yeah.
Because all those zombies on screen. This game, it still holds up very well. It's not what most people thought it was when it came out. A lot of people thought, oh, it's a zombie slaying game. You're running around a mall. It's like Dawn of the Dead or whatever. There's even a disclaimer on the front of the box of this game that says this is not in any way, shape, or form affiliated with Dawn of the Dead.
Right. Which was right because George Romero's movie took place in a mall, and this takes place in a mall.
But I like what they did here because basically you're a photojournalist, Frank West, don't forget the name, which has become like a Capcom staple.
Yeah, he has.
And he's earned
one of the
that
more recent
because
ones.
everything was a weapon in this game. The amount of things you could do in this game were insane, but you were on a time frame, and so you had to make all these different appointments. And if you wanted to beat the game and there's like four to six different endings, I think.
Yeah.
And you could, depending on which appointments you made and which ones you didn't. So if you don't like being on a time crunch, this isn't the game for you.
Yeah, this is gonna stress you out. We were talking to some friends in the Discord the other day, and our base friend mentioned specifically that he had to stop playing Persona because the time stress was too much for him.
Understandable.
And this ratchets that up because it's time stress in like small spurts of time. So like, hey, you got 5 minutes to get to Django.
You're not gonna be able to do every single thing in this game
it's
in
impossible.
one playthrough. And if you lose, like if you miss something and you get game over or whatever,
that's it.
Like not necessarily dying, but like if your character dies, but like if you miss an appointment and you didn't save, you gotta restart from the beginning.
Yeah.
I think it's aged well, and you can buy this in multiple different HD collections.
One thing that I think helps this game in its aging is that when this game came out, the animations were so ahead of the curve because like it had that Capcom sense of animations. Like everything was kind of over animated, not in a bad way, in a good way.
Slowly kind of.
Well, that's the thing. It was very deliberate combat. It committed to the animations in the same way that so many video games these do. Like games that like Dark Souls, Monster Hunter, games that are of that lineage. And I think for that reason specifically, because I played Dead Rising 2 when they re-released it for PS4, I think it really holds up because it commits to animations, and we're so used to playing games
Dead Rising
like that.
2 is my favorite.
I agree.
But with the combo weapons and stuff, but after that, they kind of started focusing more on the killing the zombie stuff than the like Dead Rising 4 is not good.
Yeah,
not very good. But
I remember you told me, you're like, man, I can't believe in Dead Rising 4 they dress you up in an elf costume and all the zombies.
No, all the zombies are in elf costumes.
But then I was like, dude, that's a toggle in the menu. You can turn that off. Dude. You played the entire game with Christmas time on. That was one of the best things ever.
I was pretty upset about that. Really tarnished and further tarnished a tarnished experience.
So where do we rank this thing?
This is hard because I want to say must play, but I think some people don't like that. But that's just me speaking.
One thing we have to get out of the way is the save system in this thing sucks.
Yeah, it does.
It is bad, and it's not even like one of those. It's a matter of opinion. I really think that it is a bad save system because sometimes those save locations will be overrun. Like I need to save my game because the school bus is coming, but there's 1,000 zombies in my way to the nearest restroom.
Yeah, the safest way to save your game in this is to save at the hideout,
the safe house area. I think that the save system is going to turn a lot of people off. A lot of the bully audience.
Would it be fair to say that if you know how Dead Rising game works, if you played this game before, then all these issues are resolved? But if this is your first time playing, I feel like it could be kind of frustrating.
Yeah, it can be. I mean, when I played this game as I guess I was a teenager at this point, I suffered through it, because I really wanted to play the game. But I remember being really bummed out.
I don't think we can say fans of the series because I think this is the most representative of the series at all. Because, like I said, the further we get down the Dead Rising games, the worse most people think they are. Dead Rising 2 would be my favorite.
So how would we genreify this?
That's also my next problem. I feel like fans of the series is the best place to put this. Because there is. What's the genre? I
think if we were to try to genreify this,
just say zombie game.
No, if we were to try to genreify this to put it in that category, I think what we'd have to rely on is that commitment to animations, like people who are fans of Monster Hunter World, who are fans of Dark Souls, who are fans of games like that, where when you press the attack button, they're attacking motherfucker and you can't stop them. It's not a character action game like Bayonetta where you can cancel out of attacks. When you hit that attack button, he is going to attack. I think that is the only thing that we can find a commonality between this and other games, because really,
I think because those lines are so blurred, I think fans of the series might be the best place for it.
I'm happy to put it there, and for like someone who has only played Dead Rising 3, for example, because it was
I never played that one.
Well, I didn't play 4, and I did play 3. Dead Rising 3 was an Xbox One launch title, so it was like a big, like, hey, this is what we're picking up when we get our Xbox One. Say that individual's out there and they haven't played Dead Rising 1, play Dead Rising 1, I guess. It's just a weird spot,
Yeah, it's tough. It's a very unique game.
It is a unique game.
It's hard to judge, especially with our parameters. But what's next?
Oh man, I almost melted in my chair. Final Fantasy 12. I was playing this last night.
Oh yeah?
The Zodiac Age, to be specific. So all of my experience with this game comes from the Zodiac Age, so I'm going to be upfront about what the Zodiac Age brings so that we can talk about Final Fantasy 12.
To kind of simplify systems and stuff.
No, actually, it makes them a little more complex. And I'll kind of get into that. But one thing that they give you in Zodiac Age that actually the Japanese release of Final Fantasy 12 got, but the Western didn't, is a turbo mode. So you hit a button, everything moves in double speed, which is really nice when you're trying to traverse the overworld. It also gave you the ability to have 2 classes for every character. So you have 12 classes in total, and you can have Vaughn be your monk and your machinist if you want to. You know, you could have Pinello be your time battle mage and your red mage if you wanted to. But that's only in the Zodiac Age. In Final Fantasy 12, you had to commit 1 job to individuals, which means that some of those jobs you just weren't going to see in your first playthrough.
Right. That kind of stinks.
Yeah, it kind of does. But
especially for a game with such a long run time.
Yeah, it is a long run time. I mean, my current playthrough is almost at 60 hours. I'm still not at the end. But one thing I wanted to say about this game is that this has one of the coolest, most unique, most interesting battle systems I've ever seen in a JRPG. Period. The Gambit System, honestly, this is no embellishment. The Gambit System is one of the most innovative battle systems I've ever seen that never got used by other video games. So what you do, basically they adapted the Final Fantasy 11 battle system, which was an MMO. Mm-hmm. They adapted it to be more customizable so that you create these gambits, which are basically if-then logic statements. So what you do is you go into the menu and you say, okay, so say you're using, my Balthier is a white mage and a machinist. So say I want to have him hit someone with Curaga. So what I'm going to do is put if ally is less than 20%, cast Curaga. Mm-hmm. Or say Pinello, she's my black mage. If enemy is weak to fire, cast Fira or Firaga.
It's like that Kingdom Hearts.
It is,
but way more granular,
way more customizable. because what happens is you can determine how many gambits any individual character has through the license board. Now the license board is like the sphere grid, but made sense of, I guess. Because in the sphere grid, everyone has complete access to the sphere grid, and this you only have access to your job's sphere grid or license board. So it just makes more sense in the Final Fantasy X one. Being that this was the last Final Fantasy on this console, it is the best looking one.
For sure. No random battles either.
No random battles. You can see every enemy in the world, so you can avoid them if you want to. Also, all those battles take place on the overworld rather than going into like a different screen.
I only have one negative thing to say about this game. Just don't like the main character.
Vaughn?
I don't like him. Which there's a story behind this.
Well, so there is a story, but also that's something that I want to, because that is a common sentiment online. I want to rebut that by saying there's no main character in this game.
Yeah, but
the party is the main character.
But
unlike other Final Fantasies where, and I know, like I think most Final Fantasy fans would say, oh yeah, but every Final Fantasy has a party. True, but this game truly. Like, Balthier is really the main character in this, because as the story advances, it becomes more centric around him. If you were trying to identify one main character, it would be him, but even still, every character has their own arc, in more of a way than any other Final Fantasy that I've ever played. The only reason that you might say Vaughn is the main character is because when you're in the not in the open world, when you're in the city areas, you pilot Vaughn.
But also, and I remember seeing this game being marketed, and this is what I was getting to, is like, I remember seeing pictures of him like sitting there with like his legs crossed, like almost like he's doing a photo shoot. I remember seeing that and be like,
yeah.
Especially coming off of like Titus was kind of like the cutoff there of weird looking protagonists. I remember seeing that in like some kind of gaming magazine and be like,
the same way that people had to shove aside their impulse to dislike something like Wind Waker. I would say the same thing to anyone who likes Final Fantasy,
sure, yeah,
but hasn't played it because of Vaughn. Because I really, really love the art style of the Ivalice Final Fantasies. The Moogles in this one are my favorite Moogles in all of Final Fantasy. Dude, they're so adorable. And it's just that Ivalice art style that you don't get anywhere else in video games, not other Final Fantasies even. It just has a very unique sense of style that I absolutely adore. Of course, the music is amazing. I think the story is incredible. It's very politically focused rather than shown in anime like, hey, save the world, everyone. It is a Final Fantasy for fans of Final Fantasy, but know that this is the most mature one that maybe exists, not because it's about titty jokes like with Kratos, but because it's about politics, and because of that, it's a fan of the genre, and I couldn't be more emphatic.
All right, then.
I love that game.
It's a good game. What are we moving into?
Oh man.
Two words. Active reload. Yeah. We're talking about Gears of War, the first one.
The first one, man.
Another game that I saw And I was like, man, I gotta get it.
I know,
Get a
dude.
360.
This was the first one that really like showed you what, or not the first one, but one of the first ones that showed you what the 360 was capable of.
Yeah, I remember seeing this game and just being blown away at the graphical fidelity, being blown away at the co-op gameplay. You know, I'm a huge co-op gamer nerd.
Yeah.
That's the right word to use.
Gamer nerd.
But
what do you see when you see this right here?
the active reload is probably one of the things. It's a hallway that splits in two.
So yeah, we were talking about this the other day. I love when Gears of War in the past they would say, "Hey, Dom, you take left. Marcus, you take right with Baird," and you have to decide like,
Yeah.
"Hey, do I take left? Do I take right?" And your co-op friend always takes the other route.
Yeah, this is an extremely linear third-person shooting game. We talked about Resident Evil 4 last week.
Yep, we did.
It's basically like they're like, hey, let's do what Resident Evil 4 did, but let's make it way more action-packed.
Exactly.
And no survival horror, just make it action-packed.
Yep.
The Lancer, people will remember the Lancer for all of eternity.
It's an iconic gun.
It's an assault rifle with a freaking chainsaw on it. It looks awesome. Whoever came up with that idea, kudos. It's cool.
What if it was Clifford?
It may have been.
It may have been
I don't
Clifford.
know. Cliffy B. He blocked me on Twitter one time.
Really?
Yeah. The one time I ever used Twitter.
Were you talking mad poop to him?
No, I tweeted. I was at PAX. I was like, hey, I just wanted to like get a picture with him.
Oh,
and
no.
I tweeted at him, and he blocked me.
Oh, what a douche.
Yeah, he kind of do. But anyway, the guy who does Bender's voice from Futurama.
Yeah, Joe DiMaggio.
Yeah, he does the voice of Marcus Phoenix here.
A really iconic gravelly voice.
This
you know?
this is the first game that was like, hey, we don't just have Master Chief on Xbox. We have another character on Xbox. Like the second poster boy was born here. I feel like it's really good. I like it. I think this is not the best one in the series, unfortunately, especially now. With I've been hearing really great things.
Dude, five is so good.
Was Horde mode in this one?
Horde mode was not in this one.
Okay,
No.
Horde mode was like the big. That's the big.
I don't
the big news.
think it was. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. Yeah, Gears of War is an amazing third-person action game. The active reload, like you were getting into a minute ago.
I think this of all the Gears of Wars that have problems, this is the one that has the most problems.
I think that you listen to podcasts and stuff, and you hear you hear a certain question asked whenever they do like a question bucket or email section on every podcast. Every 2 months, you'll hear this question. Hey, what's one mechanic that you want from one game that you would like to see in other games? You hear that? Please, if you're going to email a podcast out there, don't email that fucking question. Everyone's emailed that question for 1,000 years on video game podcasts. But this was a moment whenever it was like, I want active reload in everything.
Went off on a tangent there for a second.
It's just so frustrating. Like, have an original thought, people, please.
But anyways, I think this is where a lot of like big games, and I think this is going to start a trend for a bit. A lot of these big releases, the lack of color in these games, and I think it all started with Gears of War. Now, Resident Evil 4 had color, but it was like it was setting a mood, and it worked. But here, everything was just flat. Dark green and
well,
gray
I would say
brown.
it set a mood here as well.
It did set a mood, but man, it was just there was no.
I think you're looking at this in 2019 glasses and not in 2006 glasses. Because in 2006, no one had a problem with that. In 2006, this game was everyone appreciated the art style. I remember listening to reviews and watching reviews, and everyone's like the stuff that people make fun of now about being big, bulky strongmen. People literally like applauded this game for because it was different.
I never liked the character design.
It was different. It had a dark universe, and you mentioned it didn't have survival horror. That's true. It didn't have survival horror. It still had horror elements.
Yeah,
though.
like body horror kind of stuff.
Well, that's that level where you're going through and the krill are coming down is horrifying.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's terrifying. It's because it's pitch black and they're blocking out. Do you remember that scene from 300? Our arrows will blot out the sun. It's that. It's that. But they're blotting out the moon and starlight. You know. So this is I just want to rebut any feeling of like fatigue with the series because that comes from today and not from 2006.
I agree with that. Yeah. But we are looking at this in both ways.
For sure.
I think that we're gonna see some other games on here that are very colorful.
Oh, absolutely.
And very, very pretty to look at. We're talking about Almost, yeah, I'd say about 4 more games we're about to talk about.
Yeah.
But no, I think that Gears of War is a great game, and I like what it came in. And I was like, boom, we're a thing, and we're gonna make a billion more games.
As heavy as those men's legs hit the ground when they stomped, this game came in like
but
that.
I think that this is not the one that's like, if you had to pick one to play, I don't think this is the one. Especially with the lack of horde mode, if we're remembering correctly.
Yeah.
And then the online play, I'm pretty sure got improved on a lot as well.
Right.
I would be willing to say fans of the genre for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But if you wanted to narrow it down to fans of the series, I could see that as well.
That's tough.
I feel like must play would show up later with Gears
I
of War,
think so.
like Gears of War 2.
Yeah. Must play is going to show up later, but for me, it's. I'm trying to figure out where this would land in comparison to the rest of the trilogy. And one thing that I wanted to applaud this game for also is that in an age of Medal of Honor, Call of Duty, Rainbow Six, like I'm about to fall out of my chair. Military shooter fatigue. This was one that did it different. You know, it had the feeling of necessity that those games had while still being science fiction. And of course, Halo did science fiction as well, but that is a different sort of science fiction.
At this point in time, though, Call of Duty wasn't like this juggernaut.
It wasn't, but we still had thousands of military shooters. Medal of Honor was still out there. Rainbow Six was still out there. SOCOM was still out there. Like, we just had a lot of them, and we continued having a lot of them.
Yeah, we I think, was it this year that had Rainbow Six Vegas that we skipped
Yeah,
on?
we did. I just liked Gears of War. As a person who's never been into military shooters, I like Gears of War because it was some kind of science fiction. It was some kind of fantasy. But as far as where to put it, I feel like this should capture a wider audience because it's the first one in the series.
Yeah. I feel like anyone could play this and not be like, oh, it's a Gears of War game.
Right. So I think fans of the genre is correct.
That's what I'm feeling.
And then we'll have to decide as the trilogy progresses, because I don't think after the trilogy we're gonna talk about this game much.
We'll get there. We'll cross that bridge.
But
ooh, I see something.
Do you see a bald man?
I see a bald man with some fiber wire about to slit my throat.
Yeah, man.
We're talking about Hitman Blood Money.
Oh
God. We've been okay. Look, I gotta be real with you. We've been putting these lists together, and there's been several years where there's been a Hitman game. And we haven't got to put it on. And now we finally get to put it on because Hitman Blood Money is an absolutely incredible game. And until the Hitman 2016 came out, this is the best one.
Yeah.
And remained the best one, and is still playable to this day.
It is.
I really love this game. This is the first one where you have these big open worlds with all these different ways to get your target. They really fixed the controls here.
Yeah.
That was the big thing. The weird drop down menu of Hitman 2, Silent Assassin, and your character just didn't feel stiff as a brick.
And a
around.
lot of those struggles with Hitman 1 and 2 Silent Assassin came because those were games developed for PC but were ported to Xbox. This is a game developed for console first, and it feels that way.
When this came out, it was on PS2, and it was also on 360.
And Xbox original.
The 360 version was the way to play it.
Yep.
Man, I love this game.
It looks great too, man.
All the
it looks
different
fantastic.
levels. There's a huge variety in levels. Remember the Christmas party level?
Oh, dude, of course.
Remember the suburbs level?
Yes.
You remember
the
level,
nightclub,
the Heaven
Mardi
and Hell
Gras?
Club? Yeah.
Yes.
Dude, the Mardi Gras New Orleans level, that level had so many people in it.
Dude.
It blew my mind at the time. All those witnesses.
And what's great about Hitman Blood Money is that it just got re-released recently this year. So
I've been this close to buying that game.
And it's not a remake, it's just a remaster, so we're qualified to talk about it.
And I remember whenever
you can play right now.
Whenever Hitman 2 and Hitman 2016, Hitman 2 of 2017 or 2018.
2018, yeah.
Whenever those two games came out, they were like, "Oh yeah, but we're trying to implement some more Blood Money kind of stuff." And I remember I was like,
yeah, dude. Yeah! Especially because there had been years as Hitman fans, we had long-suffering years where it's just not bad Hitman, please.
Yeah, and then we got Hitman Absolution, which was not very good. I mean, it was Hitman, but it was not Hitman.
It wasn't this Hitman.
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
You feel me? Hitman, man. Hitman Blood Money is an iconic game for a lot of people. It is a game that I would be willing to...
This list is taking me down memory lane because I remember specifically...
Dude, I own this on the original Xbox and the 360 because when it came out, I didn't have a 360 yet, but I did have
I remember playing Bully and Hitman and this other game we're about to talk about and another game we're about to talk about just consistently all that year. I remember playing those three games, just replaying them like crazy.
I'm glad you mentioned that because you know me, don't really replay games, but I replayed levels in Blood Money obsessively because it was so much fun. It was that clockwork style of level work.
Figuring out everyone's patterns.
Exactly.
And you can play the different difficulties, too. So Silent Assassin difficulty, you didn't get to save your game.
Exactly.
And you had to really know what you were doing. And the last level in that game, spoiler alert, is the
mind-blowing.
The White House, dude. You know how hard it is to assassinate the vice president?
Hey, man, remember this? Remember when I told you about this in art class?
Blew my mind.
Blew my mind when I found out about that. Because I was sitting there with my cousin, and I was like, oh, man, I can't believe this is happening like this. And he was like, hey. And he did one of these, and I was like, what?
And you get up, and you kill everyone in that level.
With your silver ballers?
Yeah, dude. This is a good game. Can we go ahead and put it in most places, please?
I was ready for it.
Thank you. We're talking about another game, Kingdom Hearts 2. Man, this is a good year.
This is a good game, man.
Kingdom Hearts 2, I remember getting off. So I used to walk to school. My brother picked up Kingdom Hearts 2. I gave him my money. He was coming home from school, from college. He picked up Kingdom Hearts 2 on the way home. I ran home as fast as I could.
Yep.
And I got like Charlie with the freaking golden ticket. And
you know what I remember about that? I didn't have it yet. I called you that day,
dude,
to ask you about it.
I remember running home, and then I played it. I was a little weirded out. I was a little scared.
Because you had your ride-in moment.
That weird moment of, where's Sora?
Yeah.
Who's this character I'm playing as? And then the bad part was the whole intro tutorial. There's like 3 hours. The first 3 hours of the game is just
But in retrospect, don't you love that stuff?
I do.
Yeah,
but
me too.
The problem was I didn't play the Game Boy Advance game.
Me neither. And
that's why I was confused.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. If you didn't play Chain of Memories, you are going to be completely confused by the story. People make fun of the Kingdom Hearts story with pretty good reason.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts 1 was easily followable.
Yeah.
Like, no issue following that story.
It was that damn Game Boy
Advance. It was
Advance
Chain
game.
of Memories, man. If you didn't play that, you didn't know what was going on at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 1. But man, they made the battle system better. I will say, Kingdom Hearts 1 got a lot of flack because it was really hard and the camera work was bad. This one was a little on the easy side.
I think they went to analog stick camera
Yeah,
control.
they did,
really
instead of the
helped out.
triggers.
The reaction commands, they put those in, which make combat a lot easier.
The drives.
The drive. So if you're wanting to play this game, I recommend playing it
Please.
On the harder difficulty, because some of those reaction commands make it really easy.
Yeah.
Not as easy as Kingdom Hearts 3.
We're going to talk about that.
Which we probably will not talk about on our list when we get there. I don't know.
We'll have to make that decision.
That came out this year.
It did.
Anyway.
January, dude.
But this game, dude, take all those worlds. You revisit some worlds. So remember we met Beast in Hollow Bastion, but this time we get to go to his home world.
Yeah.
We get to go to some of the best worlds in Kingdom Hearts history here. We're talking Mulan World.
Yep.
We're talking Lion King. We go back to Nightmare Before Christmas. We go to the Christmas part.
Yeah, you go to the Christmas part. You go back under the sea, but only for a singy song section.
That's the worst part of the game.
Yep.
That's probably the worst part of the game.
I do not like that section.
The just everything was ramped up to 11 with collecting those materials, building all the new the synthesis items, your Final Fantasy. So, dude. Auron, remember?
Oh man,
dude,
in Hercules level,
the coolest way to introduce Auron to the Kingdom Hearts place was Hercules World, right?
It was Hercules, yeah.
He was a dead warrior.
Yeah, he was. He was like a mercenary for Hades.
And they bring him back, which kind of fits his.
It does.
And he even
no spoilers.
He even says, "This is my story."
Right.
And you gotta go, dude. Kingdom Hearts 2 had some really epic moments. I love it.
You could command Mickey in certain situations. If you died, he would come save your ass, dude.
I remember the first time I got game over, I was like, okay. And then Mickey comes in, he's like, oh, Sora, hold on.
Oh my God.
And I was like, dude, I got goosebumps.
Me too.
Dude. I get goosebumps because
Blew my
I get to
mind.
play as Mickey, and Mickey's like Goku in this
He's
world.
like Yoda.
Yeah.
Remember Yoda from Star Wars 2?
He's flipping around all over the place.
Bruh.
And then whether you die or you run out of time playing as Mickey, you
come back regardless.
You come back with Sora. And dude, it's so good.
So good, man.
And then, dude, some of those final worlds, the music, Yoko Shimomura's back on deck, knocking out some crazy Kingdom Hearts music. Once again, just like we talked about Kingdom Hearts 1, it's not licensed Disney music, but she was able to take some music and...
It's reconstituted.
And she makes the Lion King world feel like the Lion King
It makes
world.
sense, man.
She makes, the gummy ship... Dude, the gummy ship! They made the gummy ship stuff way better.
Yeah, it was far improved.
You had like a little mini shoot-'em-up game.
Yeah.
In this,
it was a shmup. It was a rail shooter. Yeah, for sure.
You can build all kinds of crazy gummy ships. The music. Can we put it in must play, please? Can we put it there?
I think
it goes, man. Especially the final mix version.
Yeah. I'm just the only thing that I'm hung up on is someone's ability and accessibility to jump in because of that story.
The story's the only part.
That's the only thing that hangs. Because not only is it hard to follow,
you play 3 hours.
It's the third one in the series.
You play 3 hours. Sora's back.
Yeah.
Sora's back, and then they answer a lot of your questions. I mean, where else would you want to put it? Fans of the series?
I just don't know, man. Kingdom Hearts is hard to categorize because like. If you didn't play 1, you didn't play Chain of Memories. If you didn't play Chain of Memories, you don't know what the hell's going on in 2. So it's just like, there's just so much you need to understand what's going on in the story.
But there's also a really extensive journal system where if you are confused about these characters, you can go in and read about them, Tyler.
Yeah, but that's like the person who's like, yeah, Destiny had a great story. You just had to read the Grimoires.
No, that's not a good comparison because you had to go on the internet to read that crap.
No, I'm not saying it's the same. I'm just saying that's the similar sentiment. Just deliver the story in cutscenes, deliver the story through dialogue.
But
don't make me read
Final
about
Mix did add, I know we're not necessarily talking about Final Mix, but Final Mix did add additional cutscenes to help out with some of that.
Listen, you know how much I adore Kingdom Hearts 2. I just have to be realistic, and is this as accessible as Bully or Hitman or Wind Waker or any of the other must-play games?
I like it, man.
I'm trying to be fair here.
I'm trying to be fair too, but I mean, the worst case scenario, if you're one of these people in this area that we're talking about, then 3 hours. Give it 3 hours, and you don't even have to worry about that story. Because even as a kid when I played it, I was able to not play that Game Boy Advance game and understand what was going on by the end of it.
You like that? Optical illusion, dog. It's rubber. All right. Okay, we can put it in must play.
Woo!
I want to be clear that there's so much going on in Kingdom Hearts 2 that if you miss Chain of Memory, that reduces its accessibility. And I have to say, this is the first time that we've had a must-play game that wasn't as accessible as these other ones. Accessibility has always been something that's held us back until this time.
Well, especially now, like, this is one of those ones that we talk about that's different now than it was back then. But if you buy, like, the complete version or whatever on PS4, like, it's the all-in-one package, that's what it's called, it has everything you need, and it has all the cutscenes and everything.
Yeah. Again, none of these tiers are necessarily telling you the quality of the game, but they're just telling you how well individual gamers might be able to approach them. It's an amazing game.
Oh, no.
When I got my 360 for my birthday in the summer, I guess it was 2007, because I don't think Oblivion was out yet in 2006. I think that came out in like November or something. Or maybe it was 2006, I don't remember. I got 2 video games. I got Gears of War and The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion.
Man, that sounds like a great day.
It was one of the best hauls of any I get my console today hauls in my life.
Dang, man. Elder Scrolls Oblivion. I remember seeing this in magazines.
Yeah.
Not believing it. You know, like, dude, I remember my brother brought this game home. We got it for PC. Our PC couldn't handle it. My oldest brother, had a Dell XPS, ginormous computer.
I remember that thing, and it created a lot of heat.
Yes, it did. And, man, I remember playing Oblivion on that and loving it. And he used to get so mad because I would never get off his computer. Because Oblivion was absolutely incredible.
It was incredible, man.
I think Oblivion still does some things better than Skyrim in some aspects. Especially the Thieves Guild.
Any of the guilds.
The Dark Brotherhood.
All the guilds except for maybe the Mages Guild.
All right, so you're in the sewers. Patrick Stewart says, "You're the one from my dreams."
Yep.
You get out of there, and then it breaks loose, Zelda style. Go do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
And you can literally just not do the main quest. You can go become a thief. You can go to the Fighters Guild. You can go, if you got some of the DLC, you can go do that or whatever. This game does not, I mean, I don't want to say it doesn't hold your hand, but it's not linear at all. Whatever the exact opposite of linear is, that's what this is.
Yeah. You
can go anywhere and do anything. You can accidentally come across main story stuff before you were ever supposed to see it. You can accidentally kill someone you may not have been intended to. You might see someone who's the leader of a faction that you didn't know yet, and you got no scrap with them.
Right.
It's not perfect.
You know what I always did whenever I immediately left? You know, there are just all these little Oblivionisms that for people who like were raised on this game, remember? As soon as I left the sewers, because you know I had to save right at the sewer door, because you can respec your character there. As soon as I left the sewers, I went and found myself an Iron Claymore, and I would go kill Umbra. I would sit on top of that pillar and just crouch down, hit her with the claymore because she couldn't reach me from up there. And I would
So if you've played an Elder Scrolls game before, you know what to expect mechanics.
Because Umbra leveled with you. Anyway.
We're talking about inventory with weight. We're talking about characters that when you loot them, they have all their armor and stuff. I mean, you kind of know what to expect if you played an Elder Scrolls game. Elder Scrolls game from here. But this one, unlike Skyrim, and this is what I applaud, and I hope they've returned to the roots of, it was in the beginning, you built your character how you foresaw your playthrough going. And so, like, if you built a thief-based character, you should probably pick a race that is better for that.
Or Wood Elf.
You should pick what they... Because, like, you got to choose the things that were going to be leveling up before you leveled, right? So, like if you want, like... if you want to be more, like... agility-based... Any agility-based skill you got, it was what would determine if you level up or not.
Right.
So, being able to commit to your playstyle was really important in this.
It did demand more commitment
Whereas
than
in Skyrim. You can just do whatever the heck you want.
Right. It did. To say this about Oblivion, it did demand more commitment than Skyrim, but not as much as like Morrowind.
No.
Or even other RPGs.
It was still much more accessible.
It was still much more accessible.
I mean,
yeah.
we're talking about armor that has the quality that reduces when you get hit. Your weapons, you got to mend all that stuff, and repair stuff. That's something you didn't have to do in Skyrim. They took a lot of those things that were like, I don't want to say simulated elements, but
they were the kind of thing that you would expect from a big RPG, and they just took them out for Skyrim to make it the most accessible of Elder Scrolls.
Some things here. Let's talk about some negative stuff and get it out the way.
Visually, I don't think it looks very good anymore.
It does not. If you're not playing on PC, especially just the way that the characters look, they all have chunky faces. They're all kind of goofy.
The dialogue, you hear certain lines of dialogue. You know how
you violated the law.
You know how Aaron and Nee became like an early internet meme?
Yep.
This one has so much of that no one knows about, but fewer people know about because fewer people played this one. But how many times have I looked at you or our base friend and be like, coin for an old beggar? Thank you, kind
You've got a bit of a bounce to your step. Yeah.
Thank you, kind sir.
It was just it suffered from some other things. We talked about this with KOTOR and stuff. Is that it was very ambitious and the tech wasn't there yet.
Right.
And you can only make a giant world as big, and the world map in Oblivion is pretty large.
It's pretty stinking huge. Also, there are multiple like ecologies, whereas in Skyrim you kind of get like cold settings. You get tundras and you get Arctic places. And this one, if you go up to Bruma, it's frigid. You know, you got mountains and you got snow. If you go way down south to like the Argonian
there was
areas,
much more variety in the environment.
There was variety. Most of the map was just like lush greenery and lush forests. But if you went on the outskirts, on the edges, you got a lot of that variety.
Swampy and snowy areas.
Exactly.
Where Skyrim's a
lot of will-o'-the-wisps and Argonians
and
down south.
The color palette here is much more vibrant than it is in Skyrim as well.
A liberal usage of bloom effects, because again, this was like a launch year game.
And the PC you could tweak a lot of this stuff too.
For sure, this is like a launch year game, so the visuals don't really hold up super well. I will say though, because we always talk about remasters and remakes and all that, I'm really excited about Sky Oblivion.
Yep.
More so, I'm excited about Skywind, but Sky Oblivion, man, Oblivion is a really good game. Oblivion, it's like one of those RPGs in my life and your life as well, where like this was one of those games where all other RPGs will be measured by.
Remember the first time you went through an Oblivion gate?
Yeah, it was horrifying. I didn't realize that I couldn't block an imp's fireball with a shield, which is BS. You should be able to block that fireball. But still, I was blocking fireballs and just getting absorbed in fire.
That's something that needs they need to work on with Elder Scrolls in general, because you can't do that in Skyrim either.
Completely
unless
agree.
You get skill for it. There's skill for it.
Yeah, completely agree. But even all that out of the way, going through the Oblivion gates was legitimately scary.
Yeah, man.
Music,
by the way, music top notch.
Very good. Jeremy Soule, Rapist. It's very good. The music was really good, but going into Oblivion was genuinely horrifying. I remember as a young teenager, like I would dread going through those gates because it was like not only was it just scary, but it felt hopeless. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like there was just such a feeling of dread and hopelessness.
The plants in there attacked you.
Bloodgrass, bruh. Blood. If you look close enough at them, you can see blood pulsating through the leaves.
Gross, man.
But man, Oblivion created so many of those like.
I remember the first Oblivion gate I ever went in. I got lost in there. I was scared.
Yeah.
I was so scared.
Yeah, it's a scary game. And you remember like just running through the forest and you can like you get near an Oblivion gate, but you don't realize it because it's a little.
Yeah, the
sky starts
First
changing.
time that ever happened, I got scared. I had to pause it and go use the bathroom.
This is a tough one to figure out where it goes.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Okay, let's talk about what I want, and let's talk about what we need to do. Of course, I want to put it in
2007, this was a must-play game. 2006.
If we can, I don't. This is tough because if you put this on PC these days and you mod it, you know, and we're talking about the base version.
We're talking about the original, yeah.
If we're talking about the base version, I don't know if it can go in must play with Skyrim being available.
Me neither. I think fans of the genre is right if that's where you're leaning.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
If you're fans of the series, seems too.
It's too
specific,
restricting. Yeah. Fans of the genre is right because if you're a fan of that Bethesda style RPG, if you've played Fallout, if you played Fallout New Vegas, if you played any of the Elder Scrolls, like if Skyrim is your favorite game of all time and the only other game you've ever played was Fallout 4, then play Oblivion, please. Oblivion is an incredible game, incredible music, incredible factions.
It's good. It's a good game.
So good.
Ooh, hey, what would happen if we took Diablo style gameplay and we put all your favorite pre-MCU Marvel heroes in it, and we made Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
We made X-Men Legends.
This is like X-Men Legends if it was,
but it has more characters.
And it's also better.
Yeah.
Dude, so we're talking. We talk about these Marvel games sometimes. We talked about this in one of the episodes, but we're talking pre-MCU. So this is before Marvel was really like all the cool hotness, and not a lot of people knew like who Iron Man was.
Right.
Not a lot of people knew who some of these characters were.
Ghost Rider.
But this game, one thing I really want to applaud about it is the character selection, because there were so many like characters no one had ever even heard of. This game.
Ms. Marvel, like no one
Moon Knight.
Yeah, Moon Knight was an Xbox 360 exclusive. So if you were like me and had the PS2 version, you didn't get him.
So Diablo style gameplay, isometric dungeon crawling gameplay.
But instead of loot, you unlock outfits
and
abilities.
Outfits and abilities for your characters. You level them up. You pick 4 characters.
Yeah.
And depending on what 4 characters you pick, you might get bonuses to their attributes. Like if you pick the Fantastic Four, you get all 4 members, you get like a boost to agility or something.
If you pick the West Coast Avengers. And one thing I loved about that is they didn't tell you. It didn't tell you.
It experimented with you putting a lot. Like if you're like me and you're just like, oh, I'm gonna put Blade and Hulk and Deadpool and Spider-Man.
But if you're like me and you watch that X-Play review, you know if you put all the girls in there, you got the femme fatale.
Yeah. But like it rewards you with experimenting with your team and encouraging you to play as these other characters. And you might learn that a character that you don't, not like me, I don't like Mr. Fantastic's powers because I think it's just kind of weird. But you might find that experimenting by putting them in your team, you play as them, and you might like them. Yeah. And that's what I really like about it. It rewards your experimentation with your team build up.
Let's talk about the locations.
Yeah.
You go to Hell, you fight Mephisto, you go to like...
Is this the one where you start the game and you fight Fin Fang Foom?
Yeah, you start the game on the SHIELD helicarrier. You go to Jotunheim. You go to, no spoilers, but like... space stuff. I don't know how to describe that area of the game. You go below the sea. Yeah. So all of these things that I'm saying, if you can imagine those Marvel characters that those kind of environments belong to, imagine going under the sea. Who do you expect to see in Marvel? You see all those characters. Yep. They're all there. Yep. Don't even ask questions about it. Whenever you go to a carnival,
such a rich lore to pull from.
You go to the carnival. Did you know there's a mini game to play? Pitfall? There's a Pitfall minigame where you just play your character.
I gotta tell you, I've been really tempted to buy Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
It's a good freaking game, man. Oh, wait, I don't know about 3. I don't know about 3.
I've heard it's decent. Punisher and Blade.
Oh, well, I'm glad you mentioned Punisher because, notably, Punisher and Hulk were not in this game because of licensing problems.
Yep.
Everyone else that they got was just a shoe-in. It was a win. But Hulk didn't come until Ultimate Alliance 2, which was not very good. And so
Ultimate Alliance 2 had like the cool straw that was that it had villains in it.
It had villains, and also it had more of those team-up attacks.
Juggernaut, yeah.
But Ultimate Alliance 1, man, I think it has the best mood, it has the best tone, it has the best areas. The combat isn't as good as Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, but I think in every other regard, it is better than it.
It's a good game.
It is a good game.
I think it has to go on fans of the genre, unfortunately.
Okay.
I would say must play, but it's not the most extensive dungeon crawler.
Yeah.
It's a little bit limited, but if you like Marvel and you like level up characters and stuff, play this game.
If you like top-down beat-em-ups or dungeon crawlers like you mentioned with Diablo, Ultimate Alliance is a great one of those.
For sure. Oh man. All right, let's power through it. The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. I remember getting this game for Christmas when I got my Wii. I got my Wii for Christmas as well. They notoriously were gonna release this on GameCube, and they're like, okay, let's do it on Wii as well.
Yeah.
Which was the right call because. Oh wait a minute. Did we not put Wii Sports on here?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What?
We ain't put Wii Sports on here?
Dude.
We ain't put Wii Sports?
What the heck?
What did we put instead of Wii?
I don't know. Let's look at the document. We have 10 games here.
Can we do a bonus 11th? What do we put instead of... What's missing here?
What?
What do we
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
What do we put?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
We're missing one?
We're missing one.
Oh, man. Well, let's power through Zelda real quick.
Okay, you talk about Zelda. I'm going to bring up the...
This would have been last anyway. So
I
anyway,
have it. I just didn't upload.
Okay. But anyways, so let's talk about the follow-up to Wind Waker, going back to that more mature art style, which this game was dark, not necessarily like, not only in like the storytelling and the narrative stuff, but it was dark just like color-wise. Like there was a lot of dark colors, and I didn't appreciate how dingy it looked. I feel like it could have been more colorful.
Can I say this? Is this a safe space? I don't like the Twilight Realm. I hate the way that it looks.
Yeah, me neither. I like the little effects, like when the little portals open up and those scary creatures.
Oh, they're horrifying.
Let's talk about also probably one of the coolest helpers in the game. That's not annoying. Midna, she's really cool, and she's not like feed telling you
also
to change dang batteries over and over.
Low key hot, but you don't find that out to the end.
Yeah, Wolf Link. Edgy wolf Link. I thought that was a cool element to put to have him turn into a wolf. I thought that was
is,
cool.
but the problem with Wolf Link is that the combat wasn't fun.
Yeah, the combat's not fun.
It's fun to traverse Hyrule Field with Wolf Link because it's fast as hell.
Here's combat with Wolf Link. Hold down B, get that radius, and go just kind of go through people.
Honestly, it's the combat from Okami. It's the exact same combat.
You know what's not fun is whenever they drop those scary looking Twilight monsters in there, and you have to kill all of them at the same time so you can continue. That's not fun.
Not fun. And that is so much of the first half of the game.
A lot of people complain about the dungeons in this one, like the water temple sucks and all that. I disagree. I think the temples are pretty good. They're not like super iconic because I can't tell you one off the bat other than the water one. What do you when
the monkey one?
The monkey one's cool.
It's pretty good.
I like the snow one where you're in that like
that one's pretty good. You throw the big ball
and chain thing. Wasn't the biggest fan of like the desert thing or whatever. But the story was kind of just all over the place in this one with like introducing the Twilight Zone and Ganon being banished to this realm and using Zant and all that.
I liked the macabreness of the story. How like just everything was.
It was dark, man.
I liked that, but I didn't.
Ganon straight murdered people.
Right, but I didn't like the Twilight Realm as far as like I didn't like the Twilight Realm as far as what it required you to do mechanically in game, and I hated how everything like you mentioned Dinge, how everything was just kind of tan and yellow.
Yeah.
You know, like that it just kind of it didn't have much of that Zelda magic, the Twilight Realm. But I liked how like oppressive it had whenever like the story stuff was advancing, it had the same kind of like darkness that like Majora's Mask had.
Yeah.
But it just didn't execute it on as well, I think.
You know what I appreciated? Horse combat.
How beautiful it was.
Being able to swing while you're running so you can cut grass. The Wii, this is probably the best controlling Wii Zelda game because the Skyward Sword took a little too much. The coolest looking Zora armor, whenever you get it, that Zora armor's dope.
It is really dope.
The swimming controls, being able to swim underwater, the iron boots. You remember that Goron dungeon was pretty good. When you fought that
to sumo wrestle the Gorons.
You get to fight that big like Lord of the Rings looking monster. I remember seeing that in the magazines with the flame, with the hot chain.
Yeah, dude. Oh my gosh.
It's a really good Zelda game.
It is. I bought the remaster or whatever it was when I
remember
Wii
the Wii
U
U version. I couldn't put it down. I really like it.
I think the
best fishing in any Zelda game. You get the little canoe and you go fish.
Especially
the Wii version with the mini game. Dude, I played the crap out of that. But if we're talking about specifically the Wii version here,
I don't think we are. The GameCube version came out simultaneously, so we can talk about both.
Man, it's good. I think I would be willing to put it in must play because I think but I think by popular demand, if you play a lot of Zelda games like Wind Waker and this is going from one extreme to the other. Fans of the genre for sure.
Yeah, this is hard, dude, because there was so much good about Twilight Princess and so much that I love. The biggest detractors for me are the wolf combat and just anytime you're playing as the wolf, honestly, running around the Twilight Realm, the only thing I liked about playing as the wolf was how easy it was to traverse Twilight Field because he was fast as hell.
Yeah.
It was like being on Epona, but you just controlled it.
Remember picking the little flower and calling your horse the little horseshoe flower? Some good stuff.
There's a lot of good stuff. I know a lot of people kind of criticize the opening to the game because the opening where you play as Link and you're doing the villager stuff did last a long time.
I love that.
I like that stuff, man.
Yeah, I love that part.
I love the beginning of Zelda games whenever you're like in the village interacting with people.
I remember starting new games just to do it again.
Me too, man. It was just there's so much charm and magic to that game in the opening bits.
Yep.
And then but immediately after that you go into Wolf Link mode and you're there for hours. And that is the very thing about this game.
Yeah, the Wolf Link and Twilight stuff is the biggest detractor in my opinion. I can look past the color stuff. I totally like the mature take on a lot of things. And this wasn't like this Link and Zelda love story. It was like, man, this kingdom's messed up.
Yeah.
We gotta do something.
Yeah.
I remember some of those scary moments when there's like Link's face and all that, the Dark Link stuff. Anyway, there's so much to unpack with this game, but I think I'd be willing to say must play. If you feel like it needs to go in fans of the genre, I can see that as well. It's more of my love for the Zelda series, and specifically this one, because I remember seeing reviews for this, and I kind of have different opinions than most people on this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I tend to like.
I remember when they announced the re-release on Wii U, everyone's like, ugh,
yeah, I remember that.
I was like, yo, dude, I got the version with the amiibo.
I Twitter threaded that day because I saw people were griping online. I was like, y'all motherfuckers need to chill. So I'm with you. I think I tend to like Twilight Princess better than a lot of people online. But I do recognize its weaknesses. And the one thing that I'm hanging up on, not to retread old ground, is that I think it's a more accessible game than Kingdom Hearts 2. But so that I feel like it on that minimum it deserves to be there, but it also has these weaknesses. Yeah. But we can put it in must play. I just feel weird about putting every Zelda in must play. You know,
it's hard not to.
It's hard not to.
Well, the Zeldas that we that don't go there haven't made this list.
Haven't made this list, and also that'll change soon.
We're talking about Wii Sports, dude.
Yeah.
All right, it wasn't on our list. We got scared. I'm glad I noticed.
No, it's on our list. I have the cover. It just didn't. For whatever reason, it didn't upload to the tier list
we
maker.
Didn't see it on the tier. Dude, I was like, where's Wii Sports? Because I was like, man, I remember getting it on Christmas.
Yeah.
And you know what else I got on Christmas? Wii Sports.
Packaged in, bitch.
Played that one before I played Zelda, believe it or not.
Oh, really? That makes sense. I mean, your family's around, right?
Family was around. It was Christmas. And also, I wanted to test out these motion controls. Holy crap.
Before I get into Zelda, let me make sure this shit even works.
Pretty much. Yeah. Well, it was new, you know.
Right.
The perfect pack-in title they could have ever put in there.
Yeah.
The most perfect pack-in title that has ever come out ever. It's a tech demo that shows exactly how the Wii mode
But it's actually fun and good.
It's fun. The bowling. Let's talk about bowling. Let's talk about baseball. Let's talk about boxing. Let's talk about golf. Let's talk about tennis.
Well, let's go ahead and get boxing out of the way. Not great.
Boxing is the weakest of the bunch because it used the nunchuck and the Wii remote.
And most people just ended up doing this, and the Wii couldn't read that.
Yeah, and it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
The bowling,
very good.
Top notch, best one in there. The tennis, pretty good.
I love tennis. The tennis is fantastic.
Golf, great.
Fantastic.
Love it.
Yes.
And then baseball, pretty good.
Yeah, that's all right.
Baseball was like that middle ground.
I feel like baseball is the one that was least played because people wanted to play boxing and then realized it was bad or it wasn't very much fun.
The baseball was good because you could play two-player. You got pitcher and catcher.
True. Yeah, it was all right.
The bowling, though.
I think the tier list is bowling, tennis, golf.
Yeah, bowling. Yep. I enjoyed the golf. More of a solitary experience than like playing with a friend. Because I was like, I don't want to wait for my turn. I just want to golf.
But man, Wii Sports is a tremendous video game.
The music, I remember popping that in. I remember popping that in and hearing that.
This is gonna be easy to put some backtracking music to.
Absolutely.
This segment,
dude.
I get excited thinking about Wii Sports.
This is easily a must-play game. Easily a must-play game.
No waffling on this one,
dude. It was the most perfect way to learn how to use the Wii remote.
Absolutely.
And dude, right now, like if it was somewhat convenient for me to hook up my Wii motion sensor bar in my game room right now, I would love to play some bowling because it's just so fun. But that's really all you can say. This is the easiest pick up and play put down game, and grandma can play it with you.
Yep.
That was the big thing. Remember the we would like to play commercials.
Yeah.
Dude, this is the perfect way for them to show you. Everyone can play this console. Yeah. And dude,
this was the only console in my memory as a human being on this planet that I can see my mom turning on and putting a controller in her hand for her to play. no console since, no console before. My mom has never played video games. In fact, she's kind of antagonistic to my relationship with them. But she loved the Wii, as every 40-something, 50-something did.
Do you remember when the Wii came out and no one could find one? And I think the Wii was where everyone got one. Like, dude, the Wii is one of the most successful video game consoles of all time.
It is one of the most successful.
And everyone had one. And you remember everyone was like, oh, I play video games. You know, remember that? That, like, this is the point where video games entered the mainstream was this year.
Yeah.
I feel like this was like it was all over the news. And, like, trailing behind, like, the PS3 and the 360 and all that. This is where we're going to start talking about, like, everyone knows these games we're about to start talking about. Some of these games we talk about, like Stranger's Wrath, or some of these games like Spider-Man PS1 even. Some people have never even heard of these games. But we're about to enter the realm of greatness.
Of everyone having played these games, yeah. And this is kind of where it started. Wii Sports is an amazing game, man. It is, of this list, it is the most accessible video game here. It may be the most accessible video game we've ever had to discuss. Can you think of one that is more easily pick up and put down to play? I don't think there's one. Wii Sports is truly an achievement.
I point my remote like I'm pointing at the television.
Everyone's used a remote control.
Click the button. I want to bowl. There's a big button that says bowling.
Yeah. How do I work this? Grandma just pointed at the TV. Oh.
Dude, there's a reason that they have Nintendo Wiis in nursing homes, dog.
Yeah, still, to this day. There's a reason they're still doing Just Dance for the Wii.
Yeah.
They're still making that game for the Wii because situations like nursing homes and, like, cancer units in hospitals, they have Wiis there so that people can get up and get active and have a good time.
Do you remember that epidemic when everybody was breaking their TVs because they
they
weren't wearing the wrist strap?
And so Nintendo had to put out, like, PSAs like, put the wrist strap on, bitch.
Yeah, I remember that. And
we don't want to get sued.
They sent out replacement straps and, like, the little gloves
and the condom,
look like dildos. Yeah.
Man, this is a good year.
Yeah,
this is a solid year. And listen, it's nothing against you, nothing against the game. I love Kingdom Hearts 2. I just want everyone to know that I'm not a Kingdom Hearts hater. All right?
I can back you up.
I just want everyone to know I'm not a Kingdom Hearts hater. I've been playing them since I was like 4. You know?
You're a time traveler?
Yes. You didn't know?
I know how you feel because I had to do the same thing with Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah.
It hurt.
Yeah.
But it's time for us to go deliberate about 2007. So we got to go do that, guys. Hey, if there's anything that you disagree or agree with and you want to let us know in the comments below, and tell us what you thought about these games, and tell us your first experience playing Wii Sports.
Hey, listen. Before we go, one last thing. We just launched a podcast. It is available right now as at the time of this recording, and that will improve in the future. It's available on Spotify, on Pocket Casts, on Google Podcasts. It will soon be available on Apple Podcasts. The first episode is already out, the trailer. As you're listening to this, the trailer will be out, and the next episode, when this episode comes out, the next episode will be right around the corner. The first real episode.
Yeah, go...
I think this is the first time we've talked about it publicly.
Go listen to it and tell your mom and them.
Tell your mama.